Well, thank you so much, O&M Partners, for having me here today. It's a really exciting time for the gold sector, and we've seen this past week a breakout in gold to all-time highs. This is new prices that we have never seen before, and for many months, I highlighted that we were expecting this summer a major breakout in the precious metals, and we've seen a technical move, a breakout in gold, and a major breakout of $20 in silver, and we're seeing some major short covering. As we know, we've been following that there's been a lot of manipulation and shorts in the silver sector, in the silver space, and now those guys are beginning to cover, and the silver stocks have exploded higher, and we've been forecasting the silver breakout for a few weeks now. You got to be on top of things. Things are changing rapidly in the gold and silver space right now, and in the battery metal space as well. We just heard Elon Musk uh, make a call for mining of the battery metal. So the junior miners are beginning to come back into favor now, especially with precious metals prices breaking out. Investors are looking for leverage in the form of a cheaper form of gold, either in the form of silver, which is also known as poor man's gold or middle class man's gold, and the junior miners, where you can buy millions and millions of ounces in the ground. Sometimes they're trading for less than $10 an ounce, or we're trading for less than $10 an ounce. Now that the gold price has moved, investors are realizing how undervalued these junior miners are with these huge reserves in mining friendly districts, and now they're beginning to catch on. One of the leaders by far in the junior mining space, leading investor by far right now, is Mr. Eric Sprott, who has led the charge by selling his his some of his position that had a huge win in Kirkland Lake, in a gold producer, and using that money to invest in junior miners. And that's a theme that we all should learn from. That you see uh, the super successful mining investors start rotating out of the producers into the junior explorers, and what investors should be on the lookout for, especially if you're new to this sector, you got to start monitoring the companies that are raising cash and that are getting major financings, because the news goes where usually the companies are raising money. That means they're going to start hiring technical teams to get out in the field and start exploring and drilling. I believe over the next few months, we're going to hear more people, not just Mr. Sprott, buying and putting millions of dollars into these junior miners. So you got to follow the financings. You got to follow the people. The people is very important, and that's one of the benefits that I've had going through a 10-year bear market, going through a bull cycle, going through a bear market, now going back into the bull cycle. Having 20 years, you begin to see the track record of the geologists and the engineers, and that is so important when you're researching which projects have the founders advanced, which companies have the founders exited for their shareholders and had major $1 billion win, or $2 billion win, or $500 million win, and so that you can see the upside potential with the people. But there's still a lot of great deals out there that have been overlooked, or investors may have transferred to another situation, but there's still some really good technical information that's coming out of these stories, and they're still cheap. There's details and news that's very important to investors that sometimes get overlooked, and that's why it's important to subscribe to a newsletter, or to start speaking to people that have, if you're new to the sector, learning the questions to ask. You come on to O&M, you hear the CEO, you give a phone call into the company, you do the basic due diligence, you hear an interview. That's so important. If you don't see the CEOs doing any interviews or transparency or communicating the story, it's very difficult to have to gain confidence with the companies. So that's why it's so important, to find the companies that are extremely active and with great management and that really hits a chord within you. I think that's really important so that you have the conviction to stay the course. That is so important in this business. You have to have a portfolio of, at least for me in the junior miners, you have to be diversified and you have to stay the course and be patient. It takes time for some of these companies to really, with exploration, to find, the mother lode, if they find it. And you have to be patient. You have to be diversified, meaning that if one company doesn't find it and they hit a duster, you're not wiped out. You want to stay in the game. You don't want to ever get wiped out in this business. And betting too much, position sizing is crucial. Another thing that you should really pay attention to, is, find the people or start doing your own homework. And, when you see the top technical guys in a company buying stock in the open market, or you see the CEO buying, 100,000 worth of stock or 300, for these junior miners, that's time that you start paying attention. So you got to keep on top of the filings and going through compensation, that it's in line. You got to look at the shareholder roster. Who are they backed by? Is a major backing them? Like, for instance, if you see Barrick as a shareholder, or Sibanye Stillwater, or Lucas Lundin, or Eric Sprott, or Cisco, or Newmont, or Alamos, when you start seeing that, gives a very strong third-party validation. And that kind of at least makes up for some investors sleep better at night, saying, hey, if Barrick thinks the stock is worth it, then that's that can help me sleep at night, especially when you're in the junior mining and it's a risky business. So really look for the shareholder support is so crucial. But I showed gold and silver compared to stocks. We're still a long way. We're still very, very undervalued. We still got a long way to go in this cycle. In real terms, gold hasn't really broken out. If you take inflation, gold's still below the peak of 2011 and far below 1980. So even though we've broken out into all new time highs, there's still a lot of room to go here. So start studying the junior miners, finding good people to speak to, good people who follow the money in the sector, follow the assets. And thank you, O&M, for having me here today.